Have you ever seen a bird so insanely colorful that your brain needed a moment to reboot? I'm talking about the kind of color that makes you wonder, okay, did nature really make this? Or did someone turn up the saturation? But here's the real question, the one I want you to keep in your mind all the way to the end of this video. If you had to choose just one bird, the single most colorful bird on Earth, which would it be? Don't answer yet, because the moment you think you found your pick, another bird is going to show up and blow your mind all over again. Today we're diving into a rainbow parade of wings, from parrots painted in primary colors, to tiny neon finches, to mythical emerald birds gliding through cloud forests, to pheasants wearing royal armor, and even ducks dressed like living artwork. Some of these birds look so unreal you'd swear they escaped from a fantasy movie. So sit back, take a breath, and let's begin this journey with a bird that doesn't just wear color, it owns color. Here comes number one, the scarlet macaw. If you want to start a countdown of the world's most colorful birds with pure impact, you start right here. Because the scarlet macaw isn't just colorful, it's the definition of color. Picture this, a streak of blazing red, electric blue, and sunshine yellow cutting across a rainforest sky like a flying flag. You don't notice a scarlet macaw, it announces itself. And here's the question that always pops into people's heads. How does a bird this loud, this bright, this obviously visible, manage to survive? Shouldn't every predator be lining up like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet? But that's the trick. In the dense canopy of Central and South America, all that color blends into the patchwork of fruit, flowers, shadows, and leaves. The macaw isn't hiding from the forest is hiding with it. And then there's the attitude. Macaws don't just fly, they travel like they're leading a parade. They squawk to each other across valleys, argue mid-flight, and land on branches like, all right everyone, show's starting. Plus, these birds mate for life. A macaw pair will fly side by side for decades, preening each other, bickering like an old couple, and raising chicks with fierce devotion. You see two macaws flying together? That's not random. That's a marriage in motion. Here's a fun twist you probably didn't expect. That big curved beak, it can crack open a Brazil nut, one of the hardest nuts in the world. Like it's a potato chip beautiful, yes, but also low-key terrifying. And when a scarlet macaw takes off at sunrise, wings glowing like stained glass in warm light, you start to wonder, is this the bird that truly represents the peak of natural color? Or are we just getting started? Because that's your mini debate of the day. Is the scarlet macaw the classic champion of color? Or simply the opening act for even crazier birds ahead? Either way, it sets the bar high. The forest fireworks, the icon, the perfect opener. And if you think three bold colors are impressive, wait until you see the next bird, a pocket-sized rainbow that somehow packs even more color into a much smaller frame. Ready for it? Let's move on to number two, the rainbow lorikeet. If the scarlet macaw was nature's bold opening statement, the rainbow lorikeet is nature saying, oh, you like that? Cool, let's crank the saturation even higher. This little parrot doesn't just have color, it explodes with it. Blue head, neon green wings, orange chest, yellow streaks, red flashes. It looks like a tropical smoothie in bird form. But here's the question that jumps into everyone's mind. How on earth does something this bright not get eaten immediately? Simple. When you live in the flower-drenched forests of Australia and Oceania, everything is already loud. Leaves, blossoms, fruit. It's a riot of color, and somehow the rainbow lorikeet blends right in. In a world of visual chaos, the loudest thing becomes normal. But their colors are only half the story. The personality, that's the real show. Rainbow lorikeets are sugar addicts. They don't eat seeds like normal parrots. They drink nectar. They shove their brush-tipped tongues into flowers and chug sugar water like they're late to happy hour. And unsurprisingly, they act exactly like a bird on a sugar high. They chase each other mid-air, scream greetings across neighborhoods, argue loudly on telephone wires, and occasionally hang upside down just because they can. And romance? Pure comedy. A male lorikeet will bob his head, shuffle side to side, and make these tiny squeaky noises that sound like a toy running low on batteries. Somehow that works. Pairs bond tightly, flying together, preening each other, and screaming in perfect harmony. Here's a fun twist. Lorikeets fly in flocks, so synchronized it looks like a single rainbow cloud zipping through the trees. One turns, all turn. One dives, the whole group follows. It's coordinated chaos. But the real debate is this: is the rainbow lorikeet the most colorful small parrot on Earth? Or is it just the loudest personality dressed in bright paint? Because sometimes they feel less like birds and more like caffeinated confetti with wings. Either way, they set the stage for what's coming next. A bird that doesn't just have colors, it arranges them like an artist, painting the African sky with lilac, teal, white, and gold. Get ready for the elegant acrobat of East Africa, the lilac-breasted roller. If the rainbow lorikeet is a tiny burst of chaos and sugar, the lilac-breasted roller is the opposite kind of colorful, elegant, controlled, almost artistic. It's the bird version of a perfect sunset that decided it wanted to fly. Picture it perched on a lonely branch in the African savanna. Not moving, not trying to impress anyone, just existing, and somehow looking like a hand-painted masterpiece. Lilac chest, turquoise belly, emerald wings, cobalt tail, a stripe of gold near the throat. 7 colors, all perfectly placed. And here's the question every first-time viewer asks: how does one bird manage to look this good without looking over-designed? You'd swear a human artist picked the palette. But the real magic isn't the color, it's the flight. When the roller takes off, the wings flare open like a pair of stained glass windows, and suddenly the savanna feels too plain for a creature this dramatic. But then comes the signature move, the aerial acrobatics. Rollers don't just fly, they perform. During their courtship display, the male will climb high into the sky, tuck his wing, and drop like a stone. Just when you think, well, that's it, he's gone, he snaps his wings open, twists sideways, and shoots back upward in a wild looping climb. It's half dance, half daredevil stunt. Meanwhile, the female sits calmly on a branch, watching like a judge at a talent show. Good twist points for commitment. Here's the twist. For all the beauty and aerial skills, the roller's call is not quite as elegant. A harsh croaking rack, rack, rack. It sounds like a cartoon frog having a bad day. The contrast is hilarious, like hearing a rusty door hinge coming from a peacock. But this bird isn't trying to be perfect. It's trying to be seen, and in the vast, dusty savannas, that combination of color and acrobatics makes it impossible to ignore. So here's your mini debate. Is the lilac-breasted roller the most beautiful bird in Africa, or the most dramatic performer dressed as a rainbow? Because honestly, it nails both roles. And speaking of rainbow perfection, our next bird shrinks all that color into a tiny neon jewel. Get ready for the dazzling pocket-sized explosion. Number 4, the Gouldian finch. If the lilac-breasted roller is a flying sunset, the Gouldian finch is a pocket-sized neon sign. Bright, tiny, and so perfectly colored you might think it was designed by a toy company red face. Purple chest, turquoise band, green back, yellow belly, black markings, all packed into a bird smaller than your hand. And here's the question everyone asks the moment they see one. How does something this tiny survive looking like a tropical candy? The answer: grasslands. Lots of tall, messy, sunlit grass. The finch's wild color palette actually breaks up into the shimmering background. Predators see flashes of color, but can't tell where the bird ends and the leaves begin. Chaos becomes camouflage. But there's something even cooler. Gouldian finches don't come in just one face color, they come in 3. Red-headed, black-headed, and the ultra-rare yellow-headed form. Same species, different design editions. It's nature's limited collection drop. And here's a twist. Those face colors actually link to personality. Red-faced males tend to be bolder, black-faced ones calmer, and yellow-faced ones, well, rare enough to be mysterious. Imagine living in a world where your personality is color-coded on your forehead. Courtship is equally fun. The male puff-ups his chest, bounces from branch to branch, and does a tiny wiggle dance that somehow manages to be both adorable and intense. The female watches quietly, tilts her head, and decides whether the performance earns a yes or a try again tomorrow. But here's the bittersweet part. Gouldian finches are delicate temperature changes, poor diet, stress. They struggle with all of it. Their populations once crashed dramatically in the wild. Thanks to conservation and careful breeding, they're slowly making a comeback, a fragile rainbow, holding on. So here's your mini debate. Is the Gouldian finch the most colorful small bird in the world, or simply the one that feels the most designed? Because honestly, no one looks at this bird and says, yeah, that's definitely natural. It looks like nature experimented with neon and forgot to stop. And now we shift from neon jewel to ancient legend. A bird so surreal, so elegant, you could swear it was painted in myth, not biology. Time for number 5, the resplendent quetzal. After the neon pop of the Gouldian finch, you might think we've reached the limit of color, but nature hasn't even started showing off yet, because now we enter the realm of the resplendent quetzal. A bird so legendary, so impossibly beautiful, it blurs the line between reality and mythology. Picture a shadow moving through a cloud forest, mist drifting through mossy branches, a faint shimmer of green. Then suddenly it appears, emerald feathers that glow like gemstones, a crimson chest glowing like warm embers, a crest that looks like sculpted jade, and, most iconic of all, 2 long tail streamers flowing behind it like silk ribbons caught in a slow-motion breeze. And here's the question that hits everyone. Why would a bird evolve tail feathers longer than its own body? It's not aerodynamic, it's not practical, yet it's perfect. The answer is simple. The quetzal isn't trying to survive the forest. It's trying to be unforgettable. During courtship, the male spreads his feathers, arches his back, and lets those emerald ribbons sweep the air as he hops between branches like a floating jewel. It's not dancing, it's performing. Now here's the twist. Those incredible colors aren't pigment. They're structural, tiny microscopic layers bend and scatter light, so the bird changes color depending on angle. Green becomes gold, blue becomes turquoise. The quetzal literally shifts shades as if it's alive in multiple dimensions. And despite looking like the forest's shining hero, it's a surprisingly shy bird. It melts into dense mossy branches, moves quietly through the canopy, and only reveals itself when it decides the moment is worthy. Fun fact, in ancient Maya culture, the quetzal was sacred. Its feathers were valued more than gold, yet the bird itself could not be killed. People would gather shed feathers and use them in royal headdresses, a symbol of freedom that would rather die than live in captivity. So here's your debate. Is the resplendent quetzal the most beautiful bird on earth or the most mystical? Because looking at it, you feel like you're watching a legend breathing. And believe it or not, we're staying in the realm of the surreal. The next bird looks like someone designed it using neon lighting and a very strange imagination. Get ready for number 6. The Wilson's bird of paradise. If the quetzal feels like a myth floating through the clouds, the Wilson's bird of paradise feels like something nature designed during a moment of pure creative chaos. This bird is small, palm-sized, almost toy-like, but one look at it and your brain immediately goes, there is no way this is a real animal. A head so blue it looks backlit, a bright yellow cape draped over a velvet red chest, jet black wings trimmed with electric green, and then the showstoppers, 2 curly turquoise tail wires looping behind it like neon question marks, which leads to the obvious question, why does a bird need punctuation marks for a tail? The answer, pure theater. The Wilson's bird of paradise is one of the most dedicated performers in nature. Before he even begins his courtship routine, the male clears a dance stage on the forest floor, kicking leaves, arranging twigs, cleaning every inch like he's prepping for opening night. No debris, No distractions, just spotlight. And when the performance begins, he transforms, he bows, he hops, he snaps open his feathers into a bright glowing frame. He tilts his head so the blue crown flashes like a tiny LED screen. And those curly tail wires, they bounce, sway, and twist in perfect rhythm as he zips back and forth across his dance floor. It's part ballet, part breakdance, part, is this bird trying to hypnotize me? And yes, the female watches closely from her branch, judging every move like a strict talent show judge. Here's the twist. The colors are not normal pigments. They're structural colors. Microscopic ridges reflect light in ways your eyes aren't used to. That's why the blue looks like digital glow instead of something natural and even stranger. The bird barely flies. Most of its drama happens on the ground, face to face, in this tiny neon-lit arena it built itself. So here's the big question. Is Wilson's bird of paradise the most stylish bird alive, or the most over-the-top performer in the entire animal kingdom? Because frankly, it looks like evolution said, let's try something wild and never look back. And if you think this dance is intense, wait until you see the next bird, his close cousin, whose courtship display became viral for looking like a glowing blue oval with legs. Get ready for number 7, the superb bird of paradise. If the Quetzal feels like a myth floating through the clouds, the Wilson's bird of paradise feels like something nature designed during a moment of pure creative chaos. This bird is small, palm-sized, almost toy-like, but one look at it and your brain immediately goes, there is no way this is a real animal. A head so blue it looks backlit, a bright yellow cape draped over a velvet red chest, jet black wings trimmed with electric green, and then the showstoppers. 2 curly, turquoise tail wires looping behind it like neon question marks. Which leads to the obvious question, why does a bird need punctuation marks for a tail? The answer, pure theater. The Wilson's bird of paradise is one of the most dedicated performers in nature. Before he even begins his courtship routine, the male clears a dance stage on the forest floor, kicking leaves, arranging twigs, cleaning every inch like he's prepping for opening night. No debris, no distractions, just spotlight. And when the performance begins, he transforms, he bows, he hops, he snaps open his feathers into a bright glowing frame. He tilts his head so the blue crown flashes like a tiny LED screen. And those curly tail wires, they bounce, sway, and twist in perfect rhythm as he zips back and forth across his dance floor. It's part ballet, part breakdance, part, is this bird trying to hypnotize me? And yes, the female watches closely from her branch, judging every move like a strict talent show judge. Here's the twist. The colors are not normal pigments. They're structural colors. Microscopic ridges reflect light in ways your eyes aren't used to. That's why the blue looks like digital glow instead of something natural and even stranger. The bird barely flies. Most of its drama happens on the ground, face to face, in this tiny neon-lit arena it built itself. So here's the big question. Is Wilson's bird of paradise the most stylish bird alive, or the most over-the-top performer in the entire animal kingdom? Because frankly, it looks like evolution said, let's try something wild and never look back. And if you think this dance is intense, wait until you see the next bird, his close cousin, whose courtship display became viral for looking like a glowing blue oval with legs. Get ready for number 7, the superb bird of paradise. Here's the twist that most people don't realize. All that black on the male isn't regular black. It's super black. Feathers engineered by evolution to absorb nearly all light zero reflection, total darkness. That's why the blue arcs glow so intensely. There's no light bouncing off anything else. It's like nature invented Vanta Black millions of years before humans figured it out. And here's a fun detail. The whole performance only works in dim forest light. If it's too bright, the illusion breaks. The superb bird of paradise is literally a creature designed for the spotlight and the shadows. So here's the question. Is this the most shocking courtship display in the animal kingdom? Or just nature flexing its creative muscles for fun? Either way, the show continues, and the next bird brings elegance, mystery, and one of the most breathtaking tails ever grown. Up next, number 8, the ribbon-tailed astrapia. After the neon spectacle of the superb bird of paradise, you might think nature has exhausted its creativity. But then, high in the misty mountains of Papua New Guinea, something white and weightless drifts between the trees. At first, you think it's a ribbon caught in the wind, then a second ribbon, then the small, shimmering bird pulling both behind him. This is the ribbon-tailed astrapia, a creature so elegant it looks like a painting that learned how to move. The male is mostly black with metallic green highlights, simple at first glance. But those tail feathers? They're the show. 2 long, pure white streamers, so silky and so impossibly long, they can stretch more than 3 times the length of the bird itself, which raises the obvious question: how does a bird with 2 giant ribbons attached to its backside even survive? The answer: barely, but beautifully. The ribbon-tailed astrapia's entire identity revolves around those tails. They catch the light, slice through fog, and flutter behind him like celestial brushstrokes as he leaps between branches. During courtship, the male hops, twists, and flares his feathers, whipping those long white streamers in perfect arcs. It's not subtle, it's a visual explosion. Imagine a ballet dancer wearing 2 flowing silk scarves performing for an audience of 1. But here's the twist. Those glorious tail feathers come with a serious downside. They snag on branches, slow him down, and make him much easier for predators to spot. This is evolution saying, if you want love, you're going to have to work for it. And here's a fun fact. Those tail feathers don't fully develop until the male matures. It takes years for them to reach full length, meaning only the most resilient males survive long enough to earn their ribbons. It's beauty as a badge of survival. So here's your mini debate. Is the ribbon-tailed astrapia the most elegant bird ever created, or the most gloriously impractical? Because no creature should look this majestic while getting stuck on branches this often. Either way, the stage is set for a shift in tone, from floating ribbons to royal robes. Up next is a bird dressed in gold and red, a creature that looks like it stepped straight out of an emperor's court. Number 9, the golden pheasant. If the ribbon-tailed astrapia glides through the forest like a silk dancer, the golden pheasant walks in like royalty making a grand entrance. No subtlety, no hesitation, no blend into the forest energy. This bird arrives in full regalia, as if the universe appointed it the official ambassador of color. The first thing you notice is the crest, a bright, gleaming gold that drapes over the head like a cascade of molten sunlight. Then the fiery red body, the deep blue wing patches, the orange cape, and the long patterned tail trailing behind like royal fabric. It's not just pretty, it's ceremonial. And here's the question that hits you instantly. Why does a bird dressed like an emperor live in dense mountain forests where almost nobody sees it? Nobody knows for sure, but the effect is magical. A flash of gold through green bamboo, a streak of red across mossy forest floor. Like hidden treasure revealing itself for half a second, courtship takes the drama even further. When the male is trying to impress a female, he fans out the golden cape around his head, spreads his feathers into a perfect halo, and turns into something that looks less like a bird and more like a moving sunburst. He circles her slowly, one careful step at a time, displaying every line, every shimmer, as if to say, observe the excellence. But here's the twist. Despite its royal appearance, the golden pheasant is incredibly shy. Try to see one in the wild. Good luck. They run instead of fly, zigzagging through undergrowth like red lightning. You don't watch a golden pheasant. You catch glimpses of it. Fun fact, the feather patterns that look purely decorative are actually a form of camouflage. In broken forest light, those bursts of gold, red, and blue break up the bird's outline, making it surprisingly difficult for predators to track drama and practicality in one package. So here's the debate. Is the golden pheasant the most beautiful pheasant in the world, or simply the most dramatic introvert ever designed? Either way, its elegance paves the way for its equally glamorous cousin, a bird with patterns so intricate it looks hand-embroidered. Coming up next, number 10, Lady Amherst's pheasant. If the golden pheasant is royalty that bursts into the room in gold and scarlet, the Lady Amherst pheasant is the aristocrat who arrives quietly and somehow steals all the attention anyway. Where the golden pheasant shouts, this one whispers, but with razor-sharp detail. The first thing you notice isn't the color, it's the precision, that incredible black and white ruff around the neck that looks like ceremonial armor. The emerald green mantle, the red lower back, the snowy white belly, and then the tail, long, patterned, hypnotic, like someone engineered each feather with mathematical accuracy. And here's the question people always ask. How does a bird this intricately designed even exist in a wild forest? It looks custom-made, like a limited edition luxury product. But Lady Amherst's pheasant lives in deep shaded bamboo thickets, which turns its ornate patterns into perfect visual camouflage. Those black and white arcs break up the outline of the bird in low dappled light. What looks dramatic to us looks invisible to predators. Courtship is where the drama finally comes out. A male will raise that massive neck ruff, fan it wide like a structured collar, tilt his body sideways and perform a slow, deliberate walk around the female. Every feather aligned, every color shown at just the right angle. It's not a dance, it's a fashion presentation. Here's a twist that surprises most people. The tail can grow over a meter long. That's right, a bird not much bigger than a chicken, dragging a tail the length of your arm through dense forest. Somehow he makes it look effortless. But unlike his flamboyant cousin, Lady Amherst's pheasant is extremely shy. One wrong sound, one wrong step, and he vanishes into bamboo like a perfectly designed ghost. And that leads to the debate. Is Lady Amherst's pheasant the most beautifully patterned bird on Earth? Or simply the finest example of nature combining geometry and glamour? Because this bird doesn't rely on bright colors. It wins through detail. But now we're stepping away from royal robes and heading back into the world of pure color. In this case, delivered in one spectacular rainbow beak. Up next, number 11, the keel-billed toucan. After the intricate geometric elegance of Lady Amherst's pheasant, it's time for a totally different kind of showmanship. The kind that doesn't hide details, but puts all the color right in your face. Meet the keel-billed toucan, the bird that looks like it borrowed its beak from a candy store. Seriously, that beak is a masterpiece of chaos. Neon green, sunset yellow, candy red, sky blue, all blended into one giant curved shape that seems way too big for the bird carrying it. And here's the question everyone asks immediately. How does a bird with a beak longer than its head not topple forward? Here's the twist. The beak looks heavy, but it's not. It's mostly hollow, light as foam, and surprisingly strong. Nature basically designed a giant, lightweight multi-tool. The toucan uses it to reach fruit, pluck berries, toss food to its partner, and, surprisingly, to thermoregulate like a built-in air conditioner. Warm day, blood flows into the beak and cools off. Science meets rainbow. But personality? That's where the toucan really shines. They hop around trees with the swagger of a bird who knows it's funny looking and leans into the bit. They make croaking, frog-like sounds that absolutely do not match the giant rainbow face they're wearing. And when they sleep, they tuck their massive beak under their wing and curl into a perfectly round little ball, like a giant fruit marshmallow. Their social life is equally charming. Toucans often roost in tight cavities, sometimes so tight they stack on top of each other like colorful feathered books. Imagine 4 birds trying to fit in a space made for one, and you'll understand the vibe. But here's your debate question. Is the keel-billed toucan beautiful because of its beak, or because it makes no sense, and that's exactly why we love it? Sometimes the strangest designs are the ones that stay with you longest. And now we're about to shift gears from rainbow chaos to iridescent royalty. Because the next bird doesn't use loud colors, it uses shimmer, changing hues with every movement. Coming up next, number 12, the Himalayan monal. After the rainbow-bright mischief of the keel-billed toucan, we now climb high, way high, into the cold, thin air of the Himalayas, where color shouldn't logically exist, but somehow becomes even more intense. This is the Himalayan monal, a bird so dazzling it looks like someone forged a rainbow out of metal. When the sun hits it, the monal bursts into color: fiery copper neck, emerald green crest, deep sapphire wings, violet patches, golden reflections, and bronzy undertones rippling across every feather like shifting oil paint. And here's the question that immediately comes to mind. Why does a mountain bird living in snow, stone, and fog need to glow like a stained glass cathedral? Well, it doesn't need to, it just does. Because this is what happens when evolution decides to flex. The secret lies in its feathers. There's almost no pigment. Instead, microscopic structures bend light, splitting it into iridescent colors that change with every step, every turn, every breeze. You move an inch to the left, the bird turns blue. You shift an inch to the right, it becomes copper. It's like watching nature color correct in real time. Then there's the personality. You'd expect a bird this majestic to be serene, calm, composed. Nope. The monal is a mountain comedian. It hops, digs, leaps, and calls loudly across valleys, often acting like it has places to be, and none of them are on schedule. But elegance returns during courtship. The male climbs onto a rock, faces the rising sun, puffs up like a living jewel, and delivers a display so breathtaking the entire mountain seems to pause for a second. The monal is beloved in Nepal, a national symbol, a creature woven into folklore, a reminder that even in harsh, frozen landscapes, beauty insists on surviving. But here's your debate. Is the Himalayan monal the most stunning iridescent bird in the world, or simply the one that knows how to use the light best? Because depending on the sun, you might as well be looking at 10 different birds. And now we descend from icy peaks to tropical islands, where the light softens and the colors turn deep and metallic. Coming up next, number 13, the Nicobar pigeon. After the dazzling brilliance of the Himalayan monal, it's time to take a step back and slow things down to something that doesn't shout with color, but still commands attention. Meet the Nicobar pigeon, a bird that feels like it's been plucked right out of an ancient storybook, not designed for the present, but for another time entirely. This pigeon doesn't scream, "Look at me." Instead, it whispers in metallic greens, deep blues and soft bronzes, shimmering like silk in the dim light of the forest floor. The iridescent colors on its back seem almost alive, changing with every step, every angle. And here's the question that strikes everyone who sees it. Why does a bird so subtle, so quiet, look like it's wrapped in the best jewels nature has to offer? The answer? Because the Nicobar pigeon is one of the last living relatives of the dodo, a creature from a time when everything on Earth was larger than life and full of wonder. It's like a living relic, holding a piece of an ancient world, while quietly existing on the islands of the Nicobar archipelago, hidden in the shadows of tropical trees. Fun fact, this bird isn't just beautiful, it's fast. In fact, it has a high-speed takeoff that would surprise anyone used to thinking of pigeons as slow flyers. And its flight? Smooth, gliding, like it's part of the sky. But here's the twist. For all its elegance, the Nicobar pigeon is incredibly shy. You won't catch it posing in the open or perching proudly on a branch. Instead, it prefers the dense forest, staying hidden in the canopy, only revealing itself in the quietest moments, as though it knows how precious it is and doesn't want to share it too easily. And yet, for all its quiet mystery, it's also incredibly social. They roost in large flocks, moving like a group of old friends who've known each other for years. It's a bird that balances both solitude and community, carrying its ancient past in the present moment. So here's your debate. Is the Nicobar pigeon the most underrated beauty in the bird world? Or is it simply an ancient soul that doesn't need the spotlight to shine? Either way, its quiet elegance makes it unforgettable. But just when you think you've seen all the quiet mystery you can handle, get ready for something loud, bold, and full of neon. We're about to dive into a burst of playful color. Up next, number 14, the Paradise Tanager. If the Nicobar pigeon was a quiet, ancient jewel hiding in the shadows, the Paradise Tanager is the complete opposite. A flamboyant burst of neon that seems to shout, "Subtlety? Never met her." This bird looks like someone let a child pick every color in the art store and then said, "Sure, put them all on one bird." Picture it, a head glowing in bright mint green, a jet black mask around the eyes, a sky blue belly, yellow shoulders, dark wings edged in violet, and the iconic feature, a bright red rump like a tiny warning flare. And the question always comes fast. How does a bird survive in the Amazon rainforest looking like a tropical patchwork quilt? Because here's the twist. Exactly that is what helps it survive. In the chaos of rainforest color, flowers, leaves, shadows, sunlight, the tanager's multicolor body breaks up into pieces. Predators see a flash of blue here, a spark of red there, a patch of green somewhere else, but never the whole bird. Camouflaged by confusion. Now let's talk personality, because this little neon comet has plenty. Paradise tanagers travel in noisy flocks that zip through the canopy. Like confetti in motion, they chatter constantly, hop from branch to branch with zero fear, and are rarely alone. If you see one, you're about to see 10 more. They're social butterflies with feathers. And here's a fun fact. The bright head color isn't just for show. It's a way for tanagers to keep track of each other in dense jungle light. Think of it like a natural glow stick for group navigation. You don't get lost when everyone is basically wearing a neon helmet. But here's the mini debate. Is the Paradise Tanager the most color-packed bird in the world, or just the most cheerful one? Because something about it feels less like evolution and more like celebration. And now that we've enjoyed a wild explosion of neon joy, it's time to gently lower the intensity and shift into something deeper, richer, and more refined. Up next is a bird dipped in royal purple, glossy, elegant, and absolutely mesmerizing in the sunlight. Number 15, the violet-backed starling. After the electric burst of color from the Paradise Tanager, we're taking a breath, slowing the pace, and diving into something sleek, refined, and just as dazzling. The violet-backed starling. This bird isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. Instead, it wears its beauty like a secret, shining softly in the light. Subtle, yet striking enough to make you stop and wonder. Is that a jewel or a bird? The first thing you'll notice is that violet backet glistens in the sunlight, almost metallic, deep and rich, like polished amethyst. But the real magic happens when you catch it in motion. The dark purple morphs into a vivid shine, shifting with every angle, every flap of its wings. And here's the question that always gets asked. How can something so simple in color, just purple and black, be so captivating? The answer, it's all in the simplicity. While many birds compete with colors, the violet-backed starling stands out by owning one. And it owns it beautifully. When it's perched in the right light, the sheen is impossible to ignore. That violet glow doesn't shout. It pulls you in, almost like a quiet whisper that you didn't know you were waiting to hear. Now let's talk about behavior. Unlike the flashy Paradise Tanager, the violet-backed starling is relatively low-key. It doesn't dance, it doesn't do acrobatic tricks in the air. Instead, it does what it does best. It exists, with grace. These birds are social, but not in a boisterous way. They roost together in flocks, and when they take to the sky, it's a synchronized movement. There's elegance in the way they travel, each bird moving in rhythm with the others, a living symphony. Fun fact, unlike many starlings, the violet-backed starling doesn't rely on its song for attention. It relies on its presence, and that's enough. So here's your mini debate. Is the violet-backed starling the most understated beauty of the bird world, or simply the quietest showstopper? Because when you see it, you'll be left thinking, why does this bird's beauty feel so calm And now that we've slowed down and reflected, it's time to pick up the pace again. We're heading into deep, dark blue hues next. After the quiet elegance of the violet-backed starling, we step into a deeper shade of color, one that feels less like feathers and more like magic woven into the body of a bird. Meet the fairy bluebird, a creature so richly blue that photographs don't quite know how to capture it. Its feathers don't just shine, they glow with a dark, velvety cobalt so deep it looks like a piece of midnight sky dipped in starlight. And the question that hits everyone immediately is, how can a bird look this mystical and still be real? When the male fairy bluebird perches in filtered forest light, he looks almost unreal, a silhouette of shimmering sapphire surrounded by green tropical leaves. His black wings sharpen the contrast, like ink balancing a paint stroke. This isn't the playful neon of the paradise tanager or the metallic pop of the Nicobar pigeon. This is mood, aesthetic, atmosphere. The fairy bluebird is the slow jazz club of the rainforest canopy. Their call, soft, mellow, almost flute-like, a gentle tune sliding through the trees. You don't see them first, you hear them, a sound that feels like a rainforest lullaby. But here's the twist that most people never expect. Fairy bluebirds are surprisingly tough. Behind that dreamy exterior is a feathered fruit thief with serious attitude. They raid fruiting trees aggressively, chasing off other birds, even ones bigger than them, as if saying, sorry, this buffet is reserved. And they're fast, lightning fast. 1 second perched quietly, the next launching into the canopy like a blue bullet disappearing into the leaves. They're also deeply bonded birds. Pairs stay close, moving through the forest like a match set, a flash of blue beside a softer, olive-colored female. So here's your debate. Is the fairy bluebird the most mystical-looking bird in the world? Or simply the best example of color used as mood? Because this bird doesn't feel designed. It feels curated, like a piece of art that happened to grow wings. And now that the forest has given us deep blues and quiet magic, it's time to turn the saturation dial back up, way up, with a bold pop of red and blue that hits like a visual fireworks show. After the soft, enchanting blues of the fairy bluebird, it's time to turn up the intensity, because the crimson rosella walks in like a burst of red and blue fireworks on a summer night. This bird doesn't just catch your eye. It grabs your attention, throws it in the air, and paints it with vibrant hues of scarlet and cobalt red head, blue wings, bright yellow tail feathers. The crimson rosella's palette could give an artist a run for their money. It looks like someone mixed the brightest shades of a sunset and said, yes, that's perfect for a bird. But here's the question that everyone asks. How does a bird this loud and flashy manage to survive in the wild? Simple. Camouflage. Sort of. While the crimson rosella may seem like it's all about bright colors, it's actually pretty clever about using them to blend in when needed. In the dense forests of Australia where these parrots live, those bold colors break up their outline. When it moves through trees, the flashes of red and blue aren't easy targets for predators because they don't give a clear, solid shape. It's color disruption at its finest. Now let's talk about behavior. The crimson rosella is a social butterfly of the bird world, often seen in pairs or small flocks, flying through the trees in a burst of vivid colors. They're loud, squawking, chirping, and calling to each other from branch to branch. And they're not shy about it. It's the bird equivalent of a group of friends catching up over coffee and telling the world their plans. Fun fact, the crimson rosella is known for being highly adaptable, and that means it's not just about the forest. These birds have been known to thrive in urban environments too. They've learned how to live in parks and gardens, mixing the best of the wild and the city. But here's your mini debate. Is the crimson rosella the most bold bird in terms of color? Or is it the most beautiful? Because the more you look at it, the more you wonder. Does nature always need to shout to get its point across? Next up, we move from a flash of red to something smaller but equally striking. A tiny bird with a mix of colors that make it a hidden gem. After the bold, saturated punch of the crimson rosella, You might assume nature would dial things down for a moment, but instead, it presents something small, shy, and unbelievably bright: the painted bunting, a bird so perfectly colored that people often refuse to believe it's real the first time they see one. Imagine a creature painted with blue head, green back, yellow shoulders, and a bright red belly, as if an artist selected every primary color and said, "Yep, let's put them all on one tiny bird." And here's the question that always shows up: how does a bird this bright survive without being spotted instantly? Well, the painted bunting has a trick. It doesn't show itself very often. It's a shy, secretive little bird that prefers dense shrubs, thickets, and low branches. You're far more likely to hear its sweet, bubbling song long before you ever see a splash of color. And when you do see it, it's usually just a blur, a quick flash of living art disappearing into the green. But here's the twist most people never expect. Only the males look like tiny rainbows. Females are olive green, soft, and subtle, a perfect camouflage for nesting and staying safe. Meanwhile, the males are basically screaming, "Notice me!" to both predators and potential mates. Speaking of romance, the painted bunting's courtship behavior is adorably earnest. The male sings from exposed perches, delivering his melodic little tune with the intensity of a musician performing for a crowd of one. Sometimes he'll bring seeds to the female, like a small, colorful waiter offering appetizers. Fun fact, juvenile males look exactly like females for the first year. It's nature's version of childhood armor, keeping them safer until they're old enough to wear the dangerous but irresistible rainbow suit. So here's your debate of the day. Is the painted bunting the most beautiful small bird in the world, or the most surprising one? Because you simply don't expect that much color in something this tiny. Either way, it's a masterpiece disguised as a shy little forest sprite. And speaking of unexpected color combinations, our next bird takes purple, turquoise, and bright yellow and mixes them into something even stranger. A bird that walks on floating plants like a marshland magician. After the colorful brilliance of the painted bunting, we move to a bird that feels more like a living fantasy: the purple gallinule. With colors that should never work together, this bird manages to create a visual symphony that's nothing short of magical. At first glance, it's a strange sight: a deep purple body with flashes of turquoise and emerald green, yellow legs that look like they belong on a tropical frog, and a bright red bill that cuts through the vibrancy like a paintbrush. It's like nature threw together every color that never belonged in a bird and said, "Let's make them work." And here's the question that hits everyone: how does a bird this colorful survive in the wild, especially when it looks so obvious? The answer lies in the water. The purple gallinule is a marshland master, where the bright colors actually blend into the floating greenery, reeds, and lily pads. From a distance, you see flashes of color, but it's all broken up. In the dense, watery vegetation, the gallinule is hidden in plain sight. It's a visual trick that's pure genius. But here's where it gets fun. This bird doesn't just look like a walking palette. It's a skilled acrobat. It moves with grace, walking on floating plants with ease, its long toes spreading out like an acrobat balancing on a tightrope. It can glide across lily pads, hop on a single reed, and balance on one foot like it's auditioning for a ballet. And then there's the way it sings, not with loud squawks or calls, but with a soft, melodic whistling sound that echoes across the marsh. It's almost haunting, like nature itself is singing a gentle lullaby. Fun fact, the gallinule is often called a swamp bird, but it's a master of its environment. It's highly adaptable, thriving in both the heat of tropical wetlands and the cold of temperate zones, making it a true survivor of the marshes. Now here's the debate. Is the purple gallinule one of the most strikingly colorful birds on Earth? Or does its beauty lie in the way it blends in with the chaos of its environment? Because while other birds may flaunt their feathers, this one knows how to hide in plain sight. And now, after all this color and camouflage, we step into a bird whose form is as unique as its tail, with a name that sounds like it should be in a fairy tale. The turquoise-browed motmot awaits. After the mystical beauty of the purple gallinule, we now dive into a bird that's bold, with colors that hit you like a wave, and a tail that could double as a weapon. Meet the turquoise-browed motmot, a bird that combines two things you don't expect: stunning color and serious swagger. Its feathers, turquoise emerald, golden, and when it turns its head, it flashes a deep blue crown like a jewel set in sunlight. But here's the real showstopper: that tail. Oh, the tail. The motmot's tail is split into two elongated feathers, each one tipped with a distinctive, almost comical shape, a perfectly rounded bob at the end. It looks like nature got halfway through designing a tail and then decided, nope, let's try something new. And the question that hits every observer: how does a bird this flamboyant stay so cool? The answer: attitude. The motmot's entire vibe is laid back yet undeniably present. It doesn't chase you through the trees. It perches calmly, its tail swaying like a fine piece of artwork hanging in a gallery. It knows it's the most unique thing in the forest, and it doesn't need to rush to prove it. Courtship is where it gets interesting. When a male motmot wants to impress, he waves those tail feathers in a slow, controlled dance, like he's trying to hypnotize the female into thinking, "Isn't this the most majestic tail you've ever seen?" Fun fact: the motmot's tail is also used for communication. It flicks and shakes its tail to send signals to other motmots. In the wild, a simple tail wag can mean anything from, "Hey, come over here," to, "Back off, I'm busy." But here's the twist. While this bird is all about presence, it also knows when to be silent. When danger approaches, the motmot goes still, almost camouflaged in the dense foliage, making you wonder if you really saw it at all. In many ways, it's as much about restraint as it is about flaunting that tail. So here's your debate. Is the turquoise-browed motmot the most dramatic bird on Earth? Or is it the most refined performer in the forest? Because with that tail, it manages to steal the show while staying effortlessly cool. Now, after all the flashy colors and dramatic tales, it's time for a bird that makes a quiet statement of elegance, with a touch of ruby to spice things up. After the dramatic presence of the turquoise-browed motmot, we step into a tiny creature that doesn't need volume to impress. It whispers its brilliance. Enter the ruby-throated hummingbird, the jewel of North America, a bird that could easily be overlooked if you blink. But if you catch it mid-flight, suspended like a magic trick, you'll know immediately that this is a bird unlike any other. Its body, sleek emerald green, its throat, a deep, fiery ruby red, as if someone painted it with liquid sunlight. And here's the first question that always arises. How can something so small, no bigger than a thumb, hold so much beauty? The answer lies in its wings. Hummingbirds don't just flap, they hover. They beat their wings so fast that they create a blur of motion, like the softest whisper of a breeze. They can fly forward, backward, and even upside down. Aerial acrobats in a world of gravity-bound creatures. It's like watching a living kaleidoscope in motion. But here's the twist. While it's dazzling in its beauty, the ruby-throated hummingbird is also an athlete. It has to be. It feeds on nectar, yes, but to fuel those rapid movements, it must consume an insane amount of food. Its metabolism is so fast that it must eat every 10 minutes to keep up with its energy needs. And let's not forget courtship, because like most hummingbirds, the males put on a show. He dives and soars, flashing his ruby throat like a living light bulb, then rapidly beats his wings in a humming rhythm that matches the beat of his heart. It's like watching a tiny but determined performer giving the best concert of its life. Fun fact: hummingbirds have the fastest metabolism of any bird, and to support it, they consume up to half their body weight in food each day. That's a lot of nectar and a lot of energy for such a small bird. So here's the debate. Is the ruby-throated hummingbird the most elegant of the tiny birds, or simply the most dynamic in terms of energy and style? Because when it flits through the air, you're not just seeing a bird, you're witnessing pure kinetic art. Now, after this little bundle of energy, we're about to meet a bird that turns neon into a sophisticated masterpiece. It's tiny, but packs a punch in the color department. After the energetic charm of the ruby-throated hummingbird, we slow down a bit and shift gears to a bird that doesn't rush. It floats, it glides, and it shines in soft, radiant hues. Meet the violet-crowned wood nymph, a hummingbird so delicate and iridescent, it seems like it was designed in a dream. This small bird may not have the explosive energy of its cousins, but it makes up for that with a quiet yet stunning beauty. Its body, a smooth green, almost emerald. Its head, a violet crown that catches the light like a gemstone, blending seamlessly into the bird's glowing back. But here's the fun part. This bird's iridescent feathers aren't about bright, in-your-face colors. They're about shifting, glowing under sunlight in a soft, mesmerizing way. And here's the first question that hits people. How can something this small, this delicate, look like it's glowing without being loud or flashy? The secret lies in its feathers. Unlike many other hummingbirds, the violet-crowned wood nymph uses light in a more subtle, almost magical way. Its violet crown shines softly. Depending on the angle, it seems to almost disappear, leaving only the shimmering green body behind, like a living light that flickers in and out of view. But the bird's charm isn't just in its color, it's in its grace. When the male performs his courtship display, he hovers in place, his tiny wings beating rapidly as he holds that glowing crown high, facing the female with what looks like a slow-motion dance. It's not loud, it's not in your face, it's elegant, and it works. Fun fact, the violet-crowned wood nymph has a preference for high altitudes, nesting in the mountains of the southwestern United States and Mexico. They love the cool, clear air, and in a way, they belong to the sky. So here's your mini debate. Is the violet-crowned wood nymph the most elegant of all hummingbirds, or simply the most subtly captivating? Because it doesn't demand your attention, it earns it, one shimmering feather at a time. And now, after this delicate display of color, it's time to shift back to bold, striking reds. After the subtle elegance of the violet-crowned wood nymph, it's time for a bird that doesn't just step into the spotlight, it owns it. Meet the scarlet ibis, a creature so red, it feels like a living flame moving across the landscape. This bird is unmistakable. Its body, a vivid, fiery red that shouts across the swamp. Its wings, a deep, glowing scarlet that cuts through the air like a streak of lightning. The long, slender beak curves down gracefully, almost as if it were designed by an artist looking to achieve the perfect balance between elegance and drama. And here's the question everyone asked when they first spot it. How does a bird this bright survive in the wild without being spotted by every predator in sight? The answer: its color is the camouflage. While its red body stands out against the green foliage, the scarlet ibis is a wading bird that loves to stalk through the mangroves and mudflats. And here's the twist. That bright red is actually a signal of health. The more vibrant the bird's feathers, the better it is at finding food, meaning the brightest, healthiest birds are the most attractive to mates. But it's not just a flashy show-off. The scarlet ibis has a deep, sophisticated nature. It's known for its incredible migration skills, flying thousands of miles across continents, from the wetlands of South America to the warm coastlines of the Caribbean. It doesn't just travel, it navigates with precision, using the sun, the stars, and the Earth's magnetic fields to find its way. Fun fact, the scarlet ibis gets its striking red color from the food it eats, specifically the carotenoids found in crustaceans like crabs and shrimp. The more of these it consumes, the deeper the red. So here's your mini debate. Is the scarlet ibis the most beautifully bold bird in the world, or is it simply the most dramatic when it comes to standing out? Because no bird gets this level of color saturation without making a statement. And now, after all the bold hues, we're taking it down a notch, heading into the world of blue and white with a bird that's iconic in both appearance and sound. After the fiery, dramatic presence of the scarlet ibis, we land on a bird that's equally iconic, but with a personality that screams confidence. Meet the blue jay, a bird whose color alone can stop you in your tracks. Its blue feathers are bold, sharp, and unmistakable, but it's the way the bird carries itself that makes it truly unforgettable. The blue jay's color scheme is sleek, vibrant blue head, white throat, and dark wings with striking black and white markings. like someone painted it with the perfect balance of elegance and edge. And then there's that crest, a splash of feathery perfection on top of its head that gives it that too cool for school look. But here's the first question that pops into everyone's mind. How does a bird this bold survive in the wild without being too obvious to predators? It's all about versatility. While its blue feathers pop in sunlight, the blue jay is also an expert at blending into its environment. It's highly intelligent, with a reputation for playing tricks on other birds. Whether it's mimicking the calls of hawks to scare others away, or stealing food from unsuspecting creatures. This bird has mastered the art of survival through strategic charm. Fun fact, blue jays are also incredibly vocal, using a wide range of calls to communicate, from the iconic JJJ that gives them their name, to softer, more intricate whistles. They're the talkers of the forest, and they know how to make an entrance with their voices and their colors. But here's the twist. While blue jays are known for their boldness and brash behavior, they also have a deep, nurturing side. They mate for life, raise their young together, and are fiercely protective of their families. It's a bird that balances charisma with responsibility. So here's your debate. Is the blue jay the most iconic bird in North America? Or is it simply the most clever, using color and cunning to get ahead? Because whether you love it or love to hate it, there's no denying the blue jay makes a statement every time it calls. And now, after all this personality, we're about to meet a bird that doesn't yell, but still makes its mark, with the quiet elegance of a true showstopper. After 24 stops across jungles, mountains, swamps, and islands, it's time to end our journey with a finale worthy of the title, one of the most colorful birds on Earth. The mandarin duck doesn't just show color, it displays design. It walks into this list like the final contestant in a fashion show, fully confident it's about to win. Picture this, a glowing orange sail rising behind its wings, a deep violet chest, a bright red bill, stripes of green, blue, and white layered across the body like carefully placed brushstrokes. Its feathers don't just shine, they orchestrate. And here's the first question people always ask. How can one bird wear this many colors and still look elegant instead of chaotic? The answer? Balance. Every color, every line, every curve on the mandarin duck feels intentional, like nature painted it slowly, feather by feather with perfect symmetry. During courtship, the male takes it one step further. He raises those orange sails, stretches his neck, and glides across the water with a level of confidence that says, "Yes, please admire me." The female watches, unimpressed at first, because that's part of the dance. But eventually, the combination of color, grace, and quiet effort usually wins her over. It's a love story written in ripples. Fun fact, mandarin ducks are symbols of fidelity across many Asian cultures. Why? Because they form lifelong bonds. You see a mandarin duck couple on a pond, and you're looking at a relationship with more commitment than most Hollywood movies. But here's the twist. Even though the male looks like an explosion of colors, outside of breeding season, he molts into something far more subtle, a reminder that even the most glamorous creatures have quieter days. So here's the final debate of our journey. Is the mandarin duck the most beautiful bird in the world because of its colors or because of its design, a harmony of tones no other bird can match? Either way, it's the perfect finale to the world's most colorful cast. And that means we've reached the end of our list, but the real question remains. Which one was your winner? Which bird stole the crown in your eyes? Tell me, and if you want, we can build the next video around your pick. And there it is, 25 of the most spectacular, unbelievable, there's no way that's real birds on the planet. From the bold reds of the scarlet macaw, to the neon chaos of the paradise tanager, to the quiet glow of the violet-crowned wood nymph, to the royal perfection of the mandarin duck. We've traveled through jungles, deserts, mountains, wetlands, and every corner of the color spectrum. It's one thing to see these birds, it's another to realize just how wildly creative nature can be when it decides to paint with light, pigment, and pure imagination. But now the real question comes back to you. Which bird wins? Which one stole your heart? Which one made you say, okay, that's it? That's the most colorful bird on Earth? Was it the neon brilliance of the Gouldian finch? The mystical emerald glow of the quetzal? The elegance of the ribbon-tailed astrapia? Or maybe the mandarin duck, because that design feels almost too perfect? Drop your pick in the comments. And if you've got another bird you think deserves to be on this list, tell me. Your answer might just inspire the next episode. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs a little more color in their day. Until next time, keep exploring, keep wondering, and keep looking up, because the world is full of beauty.